I welcome everyone to this confirmation hearing on the nomination of
Mr. Chairman.
Brett Kavanaugh
Mr. Chairman.
to serve as Associate Justice.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to be
Supreme Court
recognized
of the
for a
United
question
States.
before we proceed.
Regular order, Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to be recognized to ask a question before we proceed. The committee received just last night, less than 15 hours ago,
Mr. Chairman, regular
42,000
order.
pages of documents that we have not had an opportunity to review or read or analyze.
You're out of order. I'll proceed.
We cannot possibly move forward, Mr. Chairman,
I
with this
extend a
hearing.
very warm
We
welcome
have not
to
been
Judge
given an
Kavanaugh,
opportunity to have a meaningful
his wife,
hearing on
Ashley.
this nominee.
their two daughters,
Mr. Chairman,
Their
I
extended
agree with my
family and
colleague,
friends.
Senator Harris. Mr. Chairman,
Judge
we
Kavanaugh's
received
many law
42,000
clerks,
documents that we haven't
and
been able
everyone else
to
joining us
review last
today.
night, and we believe this hearing
I
should be
know this is an
postponed.
exciting day for all of you here,
Mr. Chairman,
and you're rightly proud
Mr. Chairman,
of
if
Judge.
we cannot be recognized, I move to adjourn.
The American people.
Chairman, I move
get
to
hear
adjourn.
directly from Judge Kavanaugh later this afternoon.
Mr. Chairman, I move to adjourn.
And
Mr. Chairman, we have been denied real access to the documents we need to advise.
Chairman,
and
regular
defend,
order is called for.
which turns this hearing into a charade and a mockery of our norms.
Well-
And Mr. Chairman, I therefore move to adjourn this hearing.
okay.
This is a mockery and a travesty of justice. This is a travesty of justice. We will not go back. Cancel Brett Kavanaugh. Adjourn the hearing.
What do we have to do? Chuck? Command order. Chuck. The motion to adjourn, we have to have a vote.
We're not in executive session.
Mr. Chairman, I ask for a roll call vote on my motion to adjourn.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I move to adjourn. I ask for a roll call vote.
We're not in executive session. We will continue as planned.
Mr. Chairman, may I be recognized, sir? Mr. Chairman, I appeal to the chair to recognize myself or one of my colleagues.
You're out of order.
Mr. Chairman, I appeal to be recognized on your sense of decency and integrity. Even the documents you have requested, Mr. Chairman, even the ones that you said, the limited documents you have requested, this committee has not received. And the documents we have, you, sir, have
Chairman,
labeled
I'd ask
committee
for regular
confidential.
order.
They should be transparent. This committee, sir, is a violation of even the values I've heard you talk about time and time again, the ideals that we should have. What is the rush? What are we trying to hide by not having the documents out front? What is the rush? What are we hiding by not letting those documents come out? Sir, this committee is a violation of the values that we as a committee have striven for, transparency. We are rushing through this process in a way that is unnecessary. And I appeal for the motion to at least be voted on.
Mr. Chairman.
At least let's have a vote, because when we wrote you a letter on August 24th
Senator.
asking to have a meeting on this issue, you denied us even the right to meet. So here we are having a meeting. Let's at least debate this issue. Let's at least call this for a vote. I appeal to your sense of fairness and decency, your commitments that you've made to transparency. This violates what you have even said and called for, sir. You've called for documents, you yourself, limited documents. We thought there should be more. We have not received the documents that you have even called for. So, sir, based upon your own principles, your own values, I call for at least to have a debate or a vote on these issues and not for us to rush through this process.
Mr. Chairman,
Senator.
Mr. Chairman, I've
Senator,
heard calls for
I'd like to
regular
respond.
order.
I'd like to respond to Senator Booker. Senator Booker, I think that I respect very much a lot of things you do, but you spoke about my decency and you spoke about my decency and integrity, and I think you are taking advantage of my decency and integrity. So,
Long day in there for all of you, and probably for Judge Kavanaugh more than anybody, who had to just sort of wait and watch and listen to all of that. You know, your thoughts, first of all, on what happened right out of the gate as Chairman Grassley was calling the meeting to order. Kamala Harris started barking at him and saying that she wanted to adjourn the meeting. What did you make of that?
Well, that's typical opposition tactics. It's not a very smart set of tactics, but, you know, they're entitled to make those points, but it was kind of a stupid move.
But have you ever seen that in all your years in the Senate, to be at a Supreme Court justice hearing that the opposition attempts literally to shut down at probably 30 to 40 junctures throughout the whole thing?
Well, I've seen it in other contexts. I have to say, every once in a while you have that happen, but that was kind of ridiculous today. This was important that we went ahead with the hearing.
But what about the discussion that Senator Chuck Schumer, sort of helped to orchestrate all of this, that they had a coordinated phone call ahead of the hearing and planned it all out?
Well, you know, you can't count on the Democrats ever being helpful with regard to any nomination by the Republicans to the United States Supreme Court. And to a large degree, Republicans probably feel the same way when the shoe's on the other foot. But to do some of the things that they've tried to do is really kind of Bush League, and I get a little tired of it, to be honest with you. We should have a little more sense and a little more feeling of gravitas of how to handle these matters, and that wasn't handled well.
And I mean, there were a lot of protesters. It felt like they piped up every 30 seconds, and you sort of laid into them in the soundbite that we played a moment ago. What's your thinking on all that?
Well, you know, there's a place to protest, and inside a major hearing like that is not the place to protest. But we're kind of used to it. The liberal Democrat students and I think college students and maybe even law students just can't seem to control themselves in some of these situations. And it was stupid. It made them look stupid. And, of course, we were smiling to a degree, but it got kind of old real quick.
You know, at one point, Chairman Grassley was very frustrated, and he said, you know, I always advise people when they become chairman of committees to never lose control of their committee. And he said, I think I've kind of done that today. Do you think he lost control of that hearing?
No, I don't. I think that he was a little taken aback by some of the rudeness of some of these people. I don't even know who the people were, but they were certainly rude. They were certainly out of place. They were stupid, to be honest with you. They didn't make any real points that would help their particular point of view. And frankly, I think most people were disgusted with them.
You're referring to the protesters or some of the senators on your committee?
No, the protesters. I can stand any senator on the committee making an ass of himself or herself anytime they want to, and I kind of enjoy that from time to time. But no, there's no reason for some of these protesters who try to disrupt a formal hearing as important as that one was.
So I want to ask you about this moment. When coming back from the break, Judge Kavanaugh was confronted by a father of a student who was killed at Parkland, and he didn't shake his hand, and this is getting a ton of attention on social media, and it's being called a snub by Judge Kavanaugh.
Well, I was there, and I don't think Judge Kavanaugh saw him, because Judge Kavanaugh would certainly not have snubbed him. Kavanaugh's one of the most gracious, kind, warm, affectionate guys that I've seen since I've been in the United States Senate. So he just didn't notice it, I guess,
well, he's looking, just to be fair, in the picture that we're showing, he's looking over to him. He sees him standing there, but security swept in pretty quickly, given the feeling in the room, I guess.
Well, I didn't see that, but you do follow your security, because you don't know whether these people are who they are and what kind of complaints they have. So I don't blame Judge Kavanaugh for that. I think he's a gracious guy. My gosh, if he'd have known, he would have stopped and I'm sure talked to him, but they whisked him away, and I wouldn't blame him for that.
All right. Senator Orrin Hatch, thank you, sir. Good to have you with us tonight.
Good to be with you.